No doubt, some of these are going to strike you as being a tad obscure, and over time, they have all but disappeared from the pro wrestling landscape. I'm going to break each and every one of them down next, until we make it. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Right here on my channel, I make videos for fellow professional wrestlers at every single stage of their career. And I do this because when I was just starting out, I had no coach to teach me, nor did I have a mentor to guide me. And I really do believe that lack of access to veteran wisdom, knowledge, and experience was a significant factor in my failure to achieve my ultimate career goal. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody else, including you. So if you're down with that, what are you waiting for? Go ahead, join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. Today, I want to break down some of the obscure unwritten rules, some old school concepts of professional wrestling that are obsolete, if not utterly forgotten in the modern day and age. And yet, I do think there's value. There's something to be learned from each of them, and a couple of them, I think I would like to see them make a bit of a comeback. Let's dive right in. Before we do, please leave a like-a-palooza down below. I discovered from looking at my metrics, I've been asking for that engagement too late in my videos. So would you do that now? We got to do it at the top, I think. It's going to be a new thing here on the videos. Okay, let's dive in. I got 10 of them to talk about. Let's start with number 1. Starting with the one I like best. This is the one I hope rallies a bit and starts to make a bit of a comeback in pro wrestling. It's that you always thank your opponent during the finish. As you are pinning them, while the 3 is being counted, you thank your opponent for the match. I think this is a great gesture, a show of gratitude and professionalism. And I don't know when this started disappearing out of wrestling, but I would love to see it make a comeback. Second one is so old, it's got to be a holdover from the carnival era of professional wrestling. And the first guy to ever really mentor me in the business taught it to me. When you are going out for your match, you take all the cash that you brought with you and you put it in your boot so that no one can thief it out of your bag or your wallet while you're out performing. That definitely sounds like a tenet from the carnival era of wrestling. The big joke, of course, was that you would always know which bills are yours because they smell like your socks. Stay in position. All right, here we go. In my experience, this one is the least obscure of the unwritten rules we're covering in today's video. It's that on road trips, the shotgun seat is always for the veteran, the senior-most performer in the car. This is never discussed, it's just understood. And it's not one of those things where the vet has to, as we often say, pull their vet card out to prove they get the shotgun seat. It is done as a show of respect for their years of service to the craft. You leave the shotgun seat vacant for the senior-most wrestler in that car. Although I don't know for sure, I believe that this next one is rooted in the cable TV era of wrestling. And it's something I only ever heard about after that whole era had ended. It's that TV guys tip their enhancement workers. If someone's coming in to be squashed by you to enhance and elevate your character on TV, after that match, you tip them. You give them money. The idea being that the featured superstar on TV is making so much money, while the enhancement talent is being paid, comparatively very little to that amount of money. And because quite frequently, the enhancement guys would get roughed up for the sake of making an effective squash match, You showed your gratitude for that extra work, those extra bumps, those rough chops you gave them for the sake of the TV cameras. You tipped them. That one, like I said, pretty obscure. Have you ever heard of it before? Let me know down below in the comments, and also where you heard it. I think that one's a really weird one, but kind of cool. The next two on my list are closely related. They're both about locker room behavior, and one of them is certainly more modern than the other. The more modern of them is this one. There is no texting in the locker room whatsoever. People with their phones out who are texting are likely to be suspected of leaking backstage information to someone who's out front of house, or potentially to someone in an AOL chat room. You can't have that. Now, of course, this one has really faded quickly since the whole mobile revolution has changed the way we interact as a society. But in the early days of phones that could text, it was taboo to be seen texting on your phone. Believe it or not. The other of these pertaining to locker room behavior might be an unwritten rule of wrestling, but it did not go unspoken in the course of my career. I learned it very loudly from an irate King Kong Bundy way back in the 90s. Your roller bag or travel case does not go up on a table in the locker room. Tables are kept clear because if a worker got hurt in the ring and had to be hustled backstage for medical attention, you would need that table space to be clear for them to lay down. You would never ask another worker to lay on the dirty floor. So put your travel cases down on the floor and keep the tabletops clear. The next two I've got for you pertain to merchandise. At least one of them dates back to the late territory era of wrestling. I know I've been throwing a lot of those eras around. Real quick, there are 4 eras of wrestling. Carnival era, territory era, cable TV era, social media era is the one that we are in as I record this video for you. So, pertaining to merchandise, up first, you don't sell your merchandise until after your match because you haven't earned those dollars yet. Prove to the fans that they are worthy of their fandom by giving them a great match. And then and only then are you able to go and sell your merchandise. If you haven't proven that you're a commodity in the ring yet, you haven't earned the opportunity to sell your merch. And the other one in this category is bound to shock and appall pro wrestlers whose experience is uniquely confined to the social media era of wrestling. It's this. After the show is over, babyfaces give half their merchandise profit to the heel they worked with in the ring because heels do not sell merchandise. Now, as you can imagine, there was an era in wrestling where heels did not go out in front of the crowd to sign autographs, certainly not to take selfies or to try and sell merchandise. They were hated and despised everywhere they went. They were effective villains. But because they didn't have that revenue stream open to them, a measure of balancing everything out post-show was that the babyface would give a portion of the profits from their merch sales to the heel they had worked with. So the harder the heel worked to get the babyface over and help boost their merch sales in that particular town, they reaped a benefit for their hard work, taking into consideration heels did not sell merchandise. Sadly, this next one is tumbling into obscurity a little bit more with each passing day. And that's due in part to the fact that it's been usurped in the wrestling lexicon by the often misunderstood concept of protect your brand. The old school concept I'm talking about is called showing ass. And this refers to the willingness of one wrestler to look foolish in front of the audience for the sake of making their opponent. That is to say, they are willing to play the part of the jackass, even if that gets a laugh out of the crowd. And they do this for the sake of helping to elevate whoever they are working with. This concept disappears from wrestling a little bit more every day, but it desperately needs to make a comeback. And there are fewer and fewer performers at the very top of the industry who seem to understand its value. And the last one on my list is very much beholden to the tenets of kayfabe 1.0. It's this. It's selling all the way to the next town. Have you ever heard of this before? If your leg got worked over in your match tonight, when you're out at the gas station filling up your rental car, you better be selling that leg. You're at the diner post-show, you better be selling that leg. You're checking in that night at the Holiday Inn Express, you better be selling that leg. You're going to sell it all the way to the next town. You're going to keep the kayfabe of wrestling alive by not discarding the work that you just put on in front of the paying customers in the off chance that one of them might spot you once the event is all over. There you have it, 10 unwritten rules of wrestling which become a little more obscure with each passing year. Were there any on my list you have never heard of before? Let me know down below in the comments right now. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to keep on learning, well then click on the video appearing on screen right now, or take your education to the next level by joining us over on Patreon. On screen, not only will you see a roll call of all my fabulous patrons who help to keep this channel alive, but a link that'll take you straight to our Patreon page where you can join us.